Here we go. We've got the recording going. Welcome everybody in. Design 301 lecture. It's Thursday the 16th. And really what we're going to focus on today are here's the place 1 through 7. And we've done, we did through plate 4. So we have plate 5, plate 6, and plate 7. And plate 5, I think you're going to see is fairly quick and easy to do when you get the trick. There's a trick, and it's right here. This one, we're going to do it as a tracing system and copy, copy, copy. And this one is just an introduction, and you'll see how it goes. So let me come back over to here. This pulled down a little bit, and I'll do the same type of thing where I get into the resources. And so here's plate number 5 that I can look at and figure out how to draw. So here's the trick on this one. You see this R, radius 2.298. And since it's going through that corner, that's where it goes. So if I were to make this rectangle and then make this go through it and make another one go through it, like if I wanted to draw this one up here, I could draw this curve and I could draw this other curve, and then the rest is just kind of follows from that. The rest just follows from finding points. So that is the key right there. So here we go. I see it's 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So 3 dash 1/4 tab 3 dash 1/4. And where did it go? What did I do there? Well, let me just do it. Let me try that again. I don't know what I just did there. 3.25 tab 3.25. When all else fails, get it into what you know. All right, so I'm going to try to do this upper one right here. Okay, so I'm going to draw a circle from here with a radius of 2.298. And let me do another one from here. 2.298. So you can see how those go, right? And they may come together or they may not. I'm not sure if they do or not. Okay, but if I want to, I can draw from my midpoint down. And from my midpoint over. And then I can trim away everything I don't want. Trim away that. There we go. So you see what I've got now. I've got this shape, and I see this line coming across the top. And it doesn't matter what order you do any of this in. And then it looks like there's another line from corner to corner. Let me go from corner to corner. And then I offset that 3/8. That's what that says. So a lot of this is really all about kind of reading this and being familiar with what you're going to try to draw, and then figuring some way to get it done. See how it's getting closer and closer and closer. And now I think it's ready for me just to do an array of that one. Remember I said that we could sometimes do a polar array. Let me take all that stuff and spin it about this corner point. That's too many of them, even though, and by the way, you guys, I looked at your patterns that you drew before. They are just outstanding looking. They're really, really cool. There we go. I've got it. And now I know that this is a special line type that it's showing there. If you've got it like this right now, that's all we need to do. We'll talk about line types later on and what that should look like. We'll come back to this one to get that last line type. But this is really what I'm looking for you to get. Okay, so let me remember we can fix, go to inches and fix our, we're getting used to doing this over and over and over again. So there we go. That is plate 5. Week 4 plate. So wasn't that easy? Well, I'm not so sure, but it certainly went quickly once I figured out what was supposed to happen. The steps to doing it were pretty straightforward. Now I need to do this one. I know I got the names all messed up last time. If you get those little pieces stuck in there, that's okay. I just usually take it a few times until I get it right. I'll save as and go find it. Lots of looking around when you're on VMware. Doesn't remember where you were. So this one is week 4, plate 5. Okay. So that one wasn't too bad, right? I mean, and it's kind of cool. And we can do some of this cool stuff. I'm going to show you a cool trick to make this little centerline thing. Okay, so now, yeah, and what I just showed there is just fine. So first of all, notice that then, since that's an array, I can't just work with part of it. I have to break it back up into all of its individual lines if I want to do something. That's called explode. And there it is. They call it explode. I'm going to explode that array. And now all the individual lines happen. And I'm going to get rid of those. And they're kind of one on top of the other. Just because of the way I did the array, I get multiple lines there. Okay. Now I've got that. Now I'm going to put the center mark in. Center marks like to have circles. So I'm just going to draw a circle from here to here. Now check out this cool thing I can do. I don't think they're in here. Do I have center marks? I don't think they're in here. So I need to go to this thing called annotate, and there's a center mark. It's actually an annotation. Center mark, the circle, and see how it made that cool center mark like thing? And then I can erase the circle. So that's something that's really, really common in AutoCAD, is that you make something temporarily to get something easy done, and then you get rid of the other part. So you could put it on a construction layer or get rid of it or whatever. But now I've got, and that's pretty cool. And my center mark is actually more proper and appropriate than their center mark. It's actually drawn in a better style. So there we go. So that's kind of a cool thing. So I'll go ahead and save that. And so this center mark tool really is neato. So let's see. There's that one. That was plate 4, week 5. And I could go back and adjust the other thing, but I won't. So the next one is a little bit more complex. And I just want you to do some drawing and copying and avoid all of the text. So let me just make it big so that I can see it better. And I'll take a snip of it. So I'm going to use this as my main thing. Oops, what happened there? Did I lose? No, it's just too big. Go. Go. And so let me make a new one here. And let me get rid of this. Let me find my snip again. Clipboard. Paste. There it goes. And so I'm not even really going to care about how big it is. I just want to get you the idea of how you can copy. And then there's another thing called rotate. Okay, so I don't know what these angles are, but I'm going to guess they're probably maybe 30s. Let's see if I can draw my little thing here. Yep. So if it's just a schematic, it doesn't really take much. There we go. And do you remember how when we traced, if I click on this and right click, I can set its properties and I can make it kind of transparent. So I'll put it like at 60% maybe. There we go. And now I can really see what I drew there. Yes, go ahead.
When I tried to trace like that and put the transparency, for some reason it wouldn't go lighter. Can you have an idea of what I did wrong?
Wow. Usually if it figures out that it's an image, so it could be that you did Control C, Control V, and it didn't know that it was an image. So I usually try to use the clipboard paste, because then if I took an image, it'll put it in as an image. It really does want that. It wants to make sure it's an image. So if you look at it up here, so it's got to either be one of these OLEs, which is object something external, object linked external, or an image. And if it doesn't say that, it might not let it do it. The other thing is you do have to get it fairly transparent. And then you have to click outside to get it to go transparent. But and it's okay. You can always just change the color, which we're going to talk about. If you want to, you can just change your color of what you're drawing so that you can see it better also. And we're going to talk about that next week, but now you just heard it now. So there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do a copy. And let's see. To do my copy, this is weird. I'm going to get way out here so that I can get it. And then I'm going to make sure that I'm moving straight up and down so things will line up later on. So that's what I like about doing this one this way. Some of them don't have to match up with anything. Now I'm going to move one out here because I have to rotate it. And here's the rotate command, and we just touched on it briefly once before. Rotate those objects, enter, pick a spot, and rotate it 90 degrees. And again, I can copy it and just try to get those to go somewhat close into place. So there we go. And you can even leave this sitting out here if you want. So my next one is this. And look, some of the arrows go one way and some of the arrows go another way. But I'm not going to really worry about that. I'm just going to kind of try to get this. And I'll do a circle 2-point because I think I can get kind of close with it. And again, I'm just going to get kind of close. I don't really care today. Sometimes you do. And then there's going to be a line. And then you're going to go, how do you... Now look, my snaps are on, so it's going to try to go somewhere else. I have to undo the snaps. But there is a very cool snap called nearest. If I turn my snaps on and I've got nearest on, you'll find the nearest point on that line. So that's kind of cool. Enter, enter. And there's a really, really cool thing to make this arrow. And if you don't get the arrow in there, I really don't care. You know, it's just kind of fun to play with this a little bit. But it's called a polyline. So if I go polyline and start it at this corner here, I can do what's called a width command. Width. And it's going to start at a 0 width. Enter. And it's going to go to maybe, I don't know, it's maybe an 1/8. I don't know. And now I have an arrow. And if you don't like that width, you can go over to the properties and you can change it. Isn't that the coolest thing? I love AutoCAD because if you do something, you can always go back and change it. So now I'm going to copy, and look, it can be hard to click, click, click on all those because this keeps coming up. So I'm going to get outside of it, click right to left, and it'll pick only what's all the way inside. Now that I've got it out there, I can just go put them kind of wherever I want. That all of them? Yep. Now one of them, oh yes, Cynthia, yes, it was left to right. Now one of them has to turn around. This one to this one. Darn it. So here's what I would do. Personally, just because it's easier, I think I'd just get rid of that one and do a new one. I just happen to think that it's easier. Width, enter, start at 0, go to 0.25, and then bring it out over here. So there we go. Now the rest is just sort of like, oh, I've got some more little things to do. Okay, so here is that's a capacitor, by the way, supposedly. And so I can do an arc. And if I know the start end direction, this is going to be so cool. You're going to love this. Start, end, direction. You can just sort of bend it until it looks right. My angles are messing with me. Is that the coolest thing? Start, end, direction. And now you have the opportunity to go, again, copy these and rotate them and put them in place. Yes, you could do 3-point also. Cynthia asked, can you use 3-point? Absolutely. You could also estimate the circle and then trim it. And 3-point is another good one to do. And so now we've got more copying left to right. This time I'll do it, say it correctly. So these all have to kind of rotate all over the place. I'll do them one at a time just to get practice. So I'm going to make 4 of them total. 3. 1, 2, 3. So I need 2 more. Copy. And one of them rotates 180 degrees. Another one goes 90. And look, I can type minus 90 because I just want it to go the other way. Minus 90. So that's a bunch of stuff to remember how to do. And so long as you get kind of sort of close with it, but you're really putting some of these drawing tools together now into place where you're really starting to make some complex stuff. So just do the best you can as you do these and just try to get close. This is just, it's like pretty heavy duty good practice. And I'm not too concerned with exactly if it comes out like a real schematic or not, so long as you're just getting practice with some of these commands. So there's a few more. Let's see. This is supposed to be I think this is supposed to be a ground. And I'll go ahead just because I want to practice copying. I'll practice copying. Now, see how that was really weird? Yes, Cynthia.
So, does it matter when you trace back over a line? For example, you went into the center, then to the left, and then you went back over to the right to complete your line. Does that matter that there's basically a double?
It can matter, particularly if you're going to export this drawing to something else, like a machine tool would go over that twice, and you don't want to run your mill twice over the same spot and things like that.
Got it.
So yes, it can matter, but I'm just kind of dinking around having fun. So,
Right, I'm just asking.
Yep.
FYI.
Yep. And so let's see if I can get this copy to work here. See if I got the whole thing. I got a little too much of it. Oh, I got way too much. Undo that. So this can be hard when you've got a tracing in here. Okay, so I might want to just go and retrace this one because it's having a hard time figuring out what, because it's trying to select that thing, right? And it's bringing it to the front. And until I show you a little bit more about layers and locking things, it makes it kind of hard. So I'm just going to go down and redraw this one. And this time I'm just going to draw them all separately. Just because that's another way to do it. There we go. So I've got almost all of them now. And I'll just be able to, excuse me, show you one other cool thing. Excuse me. Drink. Okay, so now I'm going to put my endpoint snaps back as the main one. Now this one may or may not come out perfectly straight. This is where your object tracking can be really cool. That got it lined up. So now I'm just clicking and kind of getting it close. That one wasn't very perfect. I really missed my spot. If I click on it, I can move it. Isn't that cool?
How'd you do that?
Aha. Okay. So if you've got a little part of a line and you click on it, you get those little grips. And so if I click on a grip and let go, then I can move it around wherever I want it to go and click. If I click the middle one, it moves it. So click, let go, put it on the end, click, let go, put it on the end. Not part of this class, but fun to figure out. And
Well, as we're drawing, we come across that kind of stuff, and I'm sorry to interrupt. So
yeah.
how do you see those little dots, those little...
Yeah, I'm going to show you in just a sec. Because
Okay.
it is
Sorry.
very cool. It is very cool. It's called the donut command. Those are called donuts. And I guess I can just go do it now because you get the picture, right, of how to do this. So now I'm going to put some donuts on there. And the donut command is in this little drop down. There's a donut. Or you could type donut. Donut. And it says, how big is the inside? 0. And how big is the outside? I don't know. Let me just come here and see if I can just kind of make it that big. That's pretty close. I can go back. And now I click, let go. Click, let go. Click, let go. Click, let go. Well, there's, I don't have an endpoint there. Click, let go. Well, I have to get some more of them to actually connect. But that's how you do them. And then you can play around and see, like with the properties, I think there's a... No, it's not really giving me the diameter that I can use. So you got to kind of play with it to begin with to get it kind of right. Okay, but there's the donut command for all those little things. This one, you know, there's a lot of work here, but it's like, yeah, I can really get some good drawing stuff done. Play with it and see what you'd like to do and have some fun. Don't spend an inordinate amount of time on it. If you get a bunch of it done, maybe you only get part of it done. Maybe you get that much of it done right there. That would be fine, right? Maybe you just get some of these shapes drawn and they're not placed into place. That would be fine. it's just supposed to be for you to be able to practice many of the skills. You've got copy, you've got move, you could trim, you've got the polyline thing. So you can do just, you've got endpoint snaps and rotate. So it's just kind of, and now you have the donut command. Okay, so there we go. That one look like, do what you can do and have some fun. So this one is plate 6. And we can make a copy of it. And when it's all done, you can get rid of that. And you can change this color however you like. Make it maybe black again. And maybe just show the part that you want to. I'm still in my trim command for some. I have to hit escape many times there. So something like that would be fine. That would be just fine if that's what you got done. I'd be happy with that. Let me take the snip. Here we go. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at the last one because that's I want to talk about a little bit. And what I like to do is just sort of give you a brief introduction. We're going to do a bunch more work with this next week. Okay, but you've probably seen that there are different line types available. I can draw many, many different types of lines. And if I load them, then I can just click on something and make it that type of line. Let's say I want to use this batting style. Okay. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to type load. Now I got to remember. I don't usually do it from there. Line type. There it is. I'm just going to type line type. And you can see right now my drawing doesn't have much in it, but I can load tons of them. Let me load batting. And let me load border 2. And I'm just going to do a couple of these. Border 2. And there's a bunch of borders, and don't worry about why. We'll talk about that some other time. Center 2. And I'll do one more. I'll do fence line. I'll do gas. Gas line. So those are all entered in here now. They're in my drawing. They exist and I can work on them. So if I take a line and right click and look at the properties, I can do something called line type. And almost always we use this thing called by layer. The layer itself will tell us what type of line to use. But for this exercise, and we do it occasionally, I'll make the outside look like batting. Isn't that cool? So now I just changed it right up in here. So let me make these horizontal lines. Let me do something with the horizontal lines here. I'll make those ones something else. So I'm just up here in my properties box, right click properties, click, and just get that little arrow. Let me make those ones gas. And then when I'm done, I hit escape. And look, they say gas, 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 gas. And I'm just making the dumbest, goofiest drawing right now. Okay. I can even do it with a circle. Oops. Let me make that maybe border. So this is a really cool thing. I can, if I identify a type of line that I'm going to want to draw. And I tell you, when I was hand drafting, when I first got out of college and worked as a mechanical designer, man, these things were all 1/4 inch long, 16th gap, a dot of a certain size, 16th gap. It took forever to draw some of these lines. They all had to be drawn like right. And it was brutally hard and took an incredible long time to do hidden lines and center lines and things like that. So this is the greatest thing ever. And different line types mean something special. Yes, Cynthia.
So when you hit escape, what did that do? Did that put you back to a solid line?
No, that just put me into my drawing. So that just told me I was done. So let's pick this one as an example. Change the line type to maybe center. And you see how it changes a little bit as I go over it? Center. But then to get out of this property, I have to kind of like click escape or get out of it so that I'm out of the properties box.
Got it.
Cool. So here's what the assignment is. You're just going to draw a bunch of lines. I totally messed that thing up. Just draw some lines. I don't care how long they are. Oh, I've got the batting up over here. Sorry, I was on match properties on accident. So just draw some lines. Doesn't matter how big they are. Copy them down. I don't care if they're even or not. I really don't care. I just want some lines. Type. Line type. Enter. And just load the ones that you see here in yellow. Just load them all. You'll find them. Okay. Once they're all loaded, just pick a line, right click, properties, and just go in order. You don't even have to type anything. Adding. Select the next line. Border 2. Select center 2. Continuous. I don't have to change it. I didn't do dash dot, all that kind of stuff. But see how you're just going to go through and just make me a picture like that. If you want to, when you take your snip, you can like take a snip with that on, or you can do the line type command and have this sitting next to it when you take your snip. That's a really nice, that lets somebody know, oh, I got it. They're in the line type manager and they're showing that they can draw all those lines. Now, this way that we're making these lines change, okay, I will. So that's next week, Cynthia, but you're moving forward and want to know how to do the words, and I will do that for you. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show you how to do the words. Okay, the easiest way is to use a command that I type called DT. Now you can also just come up here and click, but that's a more complex command. And so I'm just going to type DT. And I just type it on the command line or anywhere. DT. Enter. And then it says, where do I want to start? I'll start right at the end of this. And then it said, oops, sorry, DT. And then I'm going to type J to justify it. Nope, never mind. I'm going to make this easier. DT, enter. Click on the end. Specify the height. I don't know, that might be okay. Enter. The rotation angle, 0, enter. And this one is called BATTING. Batting. Enter. And then enter to finish. DT. Enter. Specify the start point. Click. Specify the height. Just hit enter. Specify the angle. Hit enter. And then type what you want to do next. Border 2. So that's enter, enter. That's an easy way to get started with text. And then when they're all done, you can move them all just a little bit. It looks a little bit nicer. Cool? And we will do a bunch more on line types and layers and text and things like that next week. That's what it's all about. And we're actually going to go back to the drawings that you've got done and add text and put things on different layers and put in a title block and things like that. So you'll be able to start, really, when you look at some of these things, you can draw. This tells me you can draw. Now, you may not be fast yet, and you might make some mistakes here and there, but you got it. You've learned it. And so now we need to start doing the stuff that really, really is so broad and so ranged because it's different for every industry. But start talking about how do we control this drawing so that it looks like a real drawing. And that will depend on who's looking at it. An architect, a civil, a piping drawing, a mechanical. They all want to see it a different way. The tools to do it are the same though. So we can teach you certain tools and then you'll be able to modify your drawing to look right for whoever it is that you want to look right. So that's next week, but you can get started now. Here's another one that you can do if you want. You can go DT. I want to start typing. So hit the center point, height, angle, square, pattern with circular array. Enter, enter. So you could do something like that. And I double clicked on it and I can change it. Okay, so then I can move it if I want. If I wanted it to be 2 lines, I have to do it while I'm typing. Enter, width, enter, circular array. Then it'll do that. Okay, and we'll talk about justifying it so that it's center, middle center, and whether these are lined up on the outside and the inside, blah, blah, blah. There's tons of control over this, but you can play around with that if you want. Okay, Alicia, your question.
All right, so my question was off topic of what you were going, and I didn't want to derail the train.
That's okay. We're done. I've already derailed this baby already. So what do you got?
All right, so you know how you have your command dialog box at the bottom?
Uh-huh.
So I got rid of mine because I have a little tiny laptop, and I want it back, but I haven't been able to figure out how to get it back.
Okay, so here we go. It's gone. Type anywhere, command line, enter.
Oh, all right.
Oops, that one
That
didn't.
was easier.
Hold on. Command line. And it comes back. Isn't
Okay,
that
yeah, I was going
cool?
through all
Yeah. And you can move it around too. Some people like to move it around and make it small and stuff. But yeah, if you need it back, just type in the word command line from anywhere. Cool. Cynthia, yes, you have a question.
Well, the same thing. I downloaded CAD, the free CAD system on my own without going through the VMware.
Uh-huh.
And there's no ribbon at the top with all the commands.
Okay.
And same thing. How do you...
Okay, so that one's a little bit harder sometimes. I got to figure out how to get... But you can just type RABBON, ribbon. I'm going to close the ribbon. They're gone. And I'm going to type in ribbon, RIBBON. And there they are.
Oh, I'll try that. Thanks.
And so are you working on a Mac or something else?
No, I'm on HP.
Okay. Because I don't know how all these work on a Mac. I'm lost on a Mac. But that's usually what you can do. Now, your ribbon might look way different and this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, there's tons and tons on that. But type in that command. And this is why I really suggest everybody learn, instead of click, learn that you can type the word line. Because someday those that might go away. And they never get rid of a command. They just might not show it anymore. Like there's a command called flat shot that does some cool stuff if you're doing 3D. You will not find it on a ribbon anymore. And if you didn't remember that exists and remember what you could type, like it took this 3D thing and made it into a flat 2D view of it. Flat shot. That's kind of cool. But it doesn't exist in the ribbons anymore. So I highly suggest that you, in the back of your mind, just type line, enter, and then you're ready to go. I am a typer because that is how I learned how to do it. But there we go. So type in command line. Hopefully that gets it back. The Chromebook version, well, that's yeah. I don't know what their web version is really clunky. I I've stayed away from it. I think it's horrible, actually. Which is why I use the VMware. It's a real version that you can get to through your browser. So Alicia says the Chromebook version is a little different. Yeah. And they threw it out there to appease all of the high school teachers that could no longer teach their class. And most of them have gotten back onto VMware. The IT departments got caught up. You're right. You won't always be students. And so that's why I suggest using our VMware one, because it is the professional version. It just says student on it. Our VMware is the professional version. It's got everything, which is really, really cool. And then the other one to do is, if you can, and you need an inexpensive version, well, compared to AutoCAD, it's inexpensive. It's AutoCAD Lite, AutoCAD LT. And it's got everything that we'll do in this class and in the following class, Design 320, and probably much of, 302, and much of Design 320. So you can actually do a lot of good work with AutoCAD Lite. And Cynthia, I don't know, are you a SketchUp person, Cynthia? Or chief architect person?
No, that's why I ask so many questions, because all this stuff is new to me.
Okay. So, but AutoCAD Lite does talk to chief architect and SketchUp, and they each have really, really strong abilities in their place. Like SketchUp is so fast to whap out a quick visualization of a building or a landscape or something like that. It's just incredible. And chief architect is really, really nice to get some good renderings and stuff that don't live in AutoCAD. But neither of them are very good for making plans. So AutoCAD Lite LT is I think a reasonable version of cost-wise if you need to do your own business. That's what my niece does, and she's a landscape architect, and she uses AutoCAD Lite, and she's very successful and does a lot of work. So that'll be available to you. Cool. Well, those are all great questions. Anything else? I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.